Now, here's the thing. Everybody tells me that the best time for landscape photography is in golden hour. Now, I haven't taken photographs in golden hour for years, but today I'm going to see whether or not it really is the best time to shoot landscapes here at the beach. I'm going to take a slightly different approach, as you would expect from that old photo guy. Now, I get it. I understand why the conventional wisdom is to shoot at golden hour if you're a landscape photographer. In actual fact, it's also good for portraits and architecture as well. But it's just never appealed to me. And I've tried in the past. I'm going to try again this evening. Never say die, as it were. But I think one of the biggest issues for me is the opportunity to be out on the beach at golden hour. Now, in the summer, of course, in the UK, in the southern part of UK, that's going to mean getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning for like a 4 a.m, 4:30 a.m. Sunrise. Or in the evening, you're going to be waiting until, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock of an evening. And that makes for a very long day. However, in the autumn and winter, of course, the days are so much shorter. And I guess in a way, that's why I've been encouraged to come out today, because sunset's going to be at about 3:30, might be a little bit later. And it'd be just interesting to see what effect golden hour has on the landscape, on the beach. In fact, when I think about it, golden hour could be really good for portraiture, adding those sort of warm tones to somebody's face. It could be great for architecture with the long shadows, bringing out the texture in buildings. So it's got lots of pluses, but for me at the beach, I think there might be a few minuses. So, of course, the minuses for me as a beach photographer is that this exceptional glow, this hue, this orangey glow can really diminish the colour of water, for example. It will add to the sea kelp, but it doesn't add to sand. It tends to sort of wash out the colour a little bit. And as far as rocks are concerned, they become a sort of monotone. So whereas during the day in a brighter sun, you'll see all the different shades and colours within the rocks, and particularly rock strata, it all seems to disappear. I'm not sure if there's any way around that other than not to shoot during golden hour. Anyway, I'm going to take some shots. I'm going to take shots of rocks, the seaweed, the sea, watch the sun go down, and yeah, just see what shots I can get. It's certainly really tricky with the light. I'm getting a lot of highlight blowout here. And in order to get a reasonable shot, I'm on 1/60 of a second at f/6.7, ISO 100. So that's a real problem, this idea of blown out highlights. I suppose you could use a graduated ND filter. That might help, of course. I haven't got one of those. Yeah, the sun's gone right behind that cloud now, so the light has really, really dipped. all the colour has been sort of washed out of the beach. The sand is quite grey. In fact, I'll take a shot so I can show you. The sea is beginning to get that sort of golden hue, which looks quite pretty, but all the blue now is beginning to disappear. And the other thing I'm finding, of course, is that I've just got to take shots because there's just so little time. It's very difficult to try and compose. Perhaps I arrived too late in a way. I should have perhaps arrived an hour earlier or an hour and a half earlier to check out some compositions. Oh well, perhaps you live and learn. So at the moment I'm shooting in manual mode. So I'm managing both shutter speed and aperture myself. I've set the ISO on 100. And I've got so little room in terms of exposure time to actually take a reasonably exposed shot. So I'm going to change things a little bit. I'm going to set my auto white balance to around sort of 500, maybe 600, rather than relying on automatic white balance. And I think I'll also put it onto auto ISO and just see any difference in results. Okay, so I've made those changes. I'm now on auto ISO and my white balance has been set at 5500 Kelvin. So it'd be interesting to compare the following shots with ones that I've taken previously. Let's give that a go. I seem to have found quite a nice composition here. I've got these two rocks and a little bit of a stream running in towards the kelp, looking straight at Blackhead, getting some sun rays above the clouds. The sun's rays popping out above the clouds is quite amazing. So for all of these shots I've taken so far, I've used a standard metering mode, so it's quite an evaluative metering mode. I've now put the metering onto highlight mode, so I'm going to take a few shots using highlights as the metering average. Okay, I think we're going to end up with something fairly spectacular because that bank of cloud is slowly moving across. The sun is about to dip below it, and with a bit of luck, these grey, dull areas that have very little colour in them will explode with colour. That's what I'm hoping. I'm not sure if I'm yet convinced that golden hour is the time to come out and take landscape photographs or even photographs at the beach. You're so dependent upon the weather, aren't you? And it's that weather which actually gives you some very interesting opportunities for photography at the beach. So taking photographs in the winter and certainly in the autumn months here in Cornwall in the UK presents some amazing opportunities. And I've got a short series of videos coming up very shortly, in fact starting next week, where I'm now looking at taking photographs in those more challenging weather conditions and what you can do to get the best shots, protect yourself and protect your camera equipment. So if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe and tinkle that little bell so you get all the notifications when the videos are published. There'll be 5 of them, which are, well, I guess that takes us up almost to Christmas, doesn't it? Or beyond even. I really must work out the dates of these things. For somebody who doesn't normally come out at golden hour, I'm really getting quite excited about this. That sun is about to come down beneath the clouds. I'm so hoping we'll get a wash of golden colour on the beach. But I don't know if you can see, I don't know if I can point to it, but there's that big bright blob there, right on top of the clouds. That is a gap. It's moving steadily south. And I'm really hoping that it will pass over the sun as it drops down below the cloud base. Fingers crossed. That gap in the clouds is getting closer. I couldn't be that lucky, could I? Yeah, really starting to see the wash of colour on the cliff face now. Really, that golden light's really bringing out the colour in the rocks. Much better than that dull grey rubbish we were seeing when the cloud was blocking the sun so much. Much better. Although I'm not a huge fan of golden hour, I can really see why people say golden hour is the best time to shoot landscape photography. It's quite exciting trying to get the shots in such a short space of time. And if I've got a takeaway, it's that I've really got to be a little bit more organised and plan a little bit better, especially to make sure that I've got the compositions I would like. However, if you've seen through the afternoon, the tide is coming in. So sometimes a composition like I had with the two rocks earlier just isn't going to work because it's covered by water. Anyway, it's pretty special, isn't it? Whatever your viewpoint. Well, that's been an amazing afternoon, well worth the effort, I think. I still remain a little bit unconvinced despite the spectacular nature of the afternoon and the sights I've seen. Perhaps I'm just digging my heels in, I don't know. I'll reflect on it. I don't think I'm going to sort of rush out and get out there every opportunity I can for golden hour. But in the winter, there is something special. I'm looking across the bay here and I can see rain falling across Mevagissey and Blackhead, all lit by the sun, which has now gone way down below the horizon. So we're entering blue hour. And for this video, that's all. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.